Success often carries an air of mystery, as though it's reserved for a select few. People look at high achievers and wonder what their secret is. Is it intelligence, talent, or perhaps luck? The truth is, while some aspects of success can appear glamorous, the reality behind it is far less romantic. Successful people don't often talk about the principles and habits that underpin their achievements, not because they're trying to hide them, but because these truths challenge the way most people think about life. What makes success seem so elusive is that it's rarely about a single big break. Instead, it's the result of countless small decisions, most of which go unnoticed. These decisions often run counter to popular opinion. They require discipline, resilience, and the ability to take responsibility for outcomes. The habits and philosophies that guide successful people are simple, but they're not easy. They demand a kind of thinking and action that most people avoid because it feels uncomfortable. Success isn't built in the public eye. It's shaped in quiet moments of persistence, in sacrifices no one sees, and in unwavering commitment to principles. Behind every achievement lies a story of unseen effort, challenges, and growth. It's not always glamorous, and it's rarely smooth. But it is deeply rewarding for those willing to embrace the realities behind it. As we uncover the truths that successful people rarely discuss, think about how these insights apply to your own journey. These aren't magic formulas or shortcuts. They're principles that demand effort and courage. But if you're ready to face them, they can unlock doors you didn't even know existed. The first truth about success that rarely gets discussed is the sheer amount of effort it takes to master the fundamentals. Successful people know that success isn't about mastering everything. It's about mastering the right things. Yet most people overlook this because they're distracted by shiny, complex ideas that promise quick results. The basics might not be glamorous, but they're non-negotiable. Take a look at any field, sports, business, art, and you'll find that the top performers are those who relentlessly practice the basics. They refine their craft, not by doing everything, but by doing the important things exceptionally well. This isn't about perfection. It's about repetition. They practice until their actions become second nature, eliminating hesitation and creating a foundation they can build on. Successful people understand the importance of simplicity. It's easy to complicate things in an attempt to feel more productive or impressive. But the most effective strategies are often the simplest. They strip away the unnecessary and focus their energy on what matters most. Instead of chasing every opportunity or trying to be everywhere at once, they double down on the few things that truly move the needle. One of the biggest barriers to success is distraction. Distractions aren't just external, they're internal as well. Doubts, fears, and the desire for immediate gratification often get in the way of mastering the fundamentals. Successful people recognize these distractions for what they are, obstacles to progress. They develop habits that minimize distractions, such as setting clear priorities, creating routines, and saying no to things that don't align with their goals. Another unspoken truth is that mastery of the basics takes time, often far more than people expect. We live in a world that celebrates speed, where quick wins and instant results are glorified. But success doesn't come overnight. It's the result of countless hours spent honing skills, learning from mistakes, and showing up even when it's hard. This kind of dedication isn't flashy, and it doesn't get immediate applause, but it's the price of mastery. Consistency is the unsung hero of success. It's not about doing something once or twice. It's about doing it again and again until it becomes a habit. Successful people know that consistency isn't exciting, but it's effective. They don't rely on bursts of inspiration. They rely on habits that keep them moving forward, even on the days when they don't feel like it. Mastering the basics requires patience. In a world that values speed and instant gratification, patience has become a rare virtue. But success is a long game, and the fundamentals take time to produce results. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't see the harvest right away, but with time, care, and persistence, those seeds grow into something extraordinary. There's a paradox here. The basics are simple, but they're not easy. It's easy to understand the importance of focus, consistency, and discipline, but putting them into practice day after day is hard. That's why most people give up before they see results. Successful people, however, embrace the challenge. They're willing to do the hard, unglamorous work because they understand that the basics are the foundation of everything else. The reason many people fail to achieve success is that they keep looking for shortcuts. They think there's some secret formula or advanced strategy that will solve all their problems. But the real secret is this: there are no shortcuts. The fundamentals are the shortcut. They're the simplest, most direct path to success, but only if you commit to them fully. The next time you find yourself frustrated with your progress, ask yourself, have I truly mastered the basics? Am I consistent in my efforts? Am I focused on the essentials, or am I chasing distractions? The answers to these questions will tell you whether you're on the right path. Success starts with the fundamentals. It's not about how much you know or how talented you are. It's about how well you apply the principles that truly matter. The second truth that successful people rarely share is that failure is not just inevitable. It's essential. Failure isn't something they avoid. It's something they embrace, learn from, and even seek out. Most people are conditioned to fear failure, seeing it as a sign of weakness or inadequacy. But successful people understand that failure is one of the greatest teachers. It reveals blind spots, builds resilience, and provides the feedback necessary for growth. Failure, in its essence, is a mirror. It reflects your current limitations and shows you where improvement is needed. When successful people fail, they don't dwell on the setback. Instead, they ask themselves critical questions. What went wrong? What can I learn from this? How can I adapt and move forward? They treat failure not as an endpoint, but as part of the process. One reason failure is so valuable is that it forces you to confront reality. It's easy to operate under illusions when things are going well. But failure strips away those illusions, exposing the truth about your skills, strategies, and mindset. This clarity is a gift if you're willing to use it. Instead of resisting failure, successful people lean into it, using it as a tool for self-awareness and growth. Another unspoken truth is that failure builds character. It teaches you how to handle disappointment, how to persevere when things get tough, and how to stay focused on your goals despite setbacks. Each failure is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve and deepen your commitment. Successful people know that the ability to bounce back from failure is one of the most important skills you can develop. Failure brings creativity. When something doesn't work, it forces you to think differently, to try new approaches, and to innovate. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in history were born from failure. Successful people aren't afraid to experiment, knowing that even if they fail, they're one step closer to finding what works. It's important to understand that failure isn't a reflection of your worth. Too many people take failure personally, believing that it defines them as incapable or unworthy. But successful people separate their actions from their identity. They see failure as a temporary event, not a permanent label. This mindset allows them to take risks and pursue ambitious goals without the fear of failure holding them back. Failure is essential because it creates a sense of humility. Success can be blinding, making you think you've got it all figured out. But failure reminds you that there's always more to learn, always room to grow. This humility keeps you open to feedback, new ideas, and opportunities for improvement. Failure tests your commitment. It's easy to stay motivated when everything is going smoothly. But when you fail, you're forced to ask yourself, how badly do I want this? Am I willing to keep going, even when it's hard? Successful people use failure as a litmus test for their dedication. If they're still willing to persevere after a setback, they know they're on the right path. One of the biggest misconceptions about success is that it's a straight line. In reality, it's a series of peaks and valleys, a journey filled with highs and lows. Successful people understand this and view failure as part of the natural rhythm of progress. They know that every setback contains the seeds of a comeback, as long as they're willing to keep going. To make failure work for you, you need to shift your mindset. Instead of asking why this thing happened to you, ask what you can do with it. Every failure contains a lesson, a new perspective, or an opportunity to try again with greater wisdom. Successful people don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They focus on what's next. The reason most people avoid failure is because it's uncomfortable. It challenges your ego, tests your patience, and forces you out of your comfort zone. But this discomfort is where growth happens. Successful people embrace the discomfort, knowing that it's a sign they're pushing themselves towards something greater. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Every successful person you admire has failed, probably more times than you can imagine. But what sets them apart is their willingness to keep going, to learn, and to grow. Failure is a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. If you want to succeed, you need to reframe your relationship with failure. Stop seeing it as something to avoid and start seeing it as an opportunity. Each failure is a chapter in your success story, a moment that shapes you into the person you're meant to become. The third truth successful people don't often share is that discipline trumps motivation every time. Motivation is fleeting. It's that rush of excitement you feel when you start a new project or set a big goal. But what happens when that excitement fades? Most people stop. They lose steam because they were relying on motivation to carry them. Successful people know better. They know that discipline is the engine that drives progress long after motivation has disappeared. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early to work on your dreams when the bed feels warm and inviting. It's saying no to distractions and temptations, even when they're enticing. It's showing up consistently, day after day, regardless of how you feel. This is where most people falter. They let their emotions dictate their actions. Successful people don't. They act based on commitment, not emotion. One of the keys to building discipline is creating routines. Routines remove the need for constant decision-making, making it easier to stay consistent. When you build a routine, you eliminate the question of whether you'll take action because the decision has already been made. It becomes automatic. If your routine includes writing for an hour every morning, you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Discipline requires clarity. You can't stay disciplined if you're unclear about what you're working toward or why it matters. Successful people have a clear vision of their goals and the steps needed to achieve them. This clarity acts as a guiding light, helping them stay focused even when distractions arise. They know that every small action, no matter how mundane, is a step closer to their bigger vision. Another critical aspect of discipline is managing your environment. Your surroundings have a profound impact on your ability to stay focused and committed. Successful people design their environment to support their goals. They remove distractions, set up systems, and create spaces that make it easier to stay disciplined. They build their environment to reinforce their habits. But here's an uncomfortable truth about discipline. It's not glamorous. It's repetitive, unexciting, and often boring. There's nothing thrilling about sticking to a budget, exercising daily, or practicing a skill for hours on end. Yet, these are the very actions that lead to extraordinary results. Successful people embrace the monotony because they understand that greatness is built in the mundane. Discipline requires sacrifice. To stay committed to your goals, you have to let go of things that don't serve you. These sacrifices aren't easy, but they're necessary. Successful people don't focus on what they're giving up. They focus on what they're gaining. One of the biggest myths about discipline is that it's about willpower. While willpower plays a role, it's not enough on its own. Willpower is like a muscle. It gets tired with overuse. That's why successful people rely on systems and habits to conserve their mental energy. They don't leave things to chance. They create structures that make discipline easier. Consistency is the cornerstone of discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up regularly. Even small actions, when repeated over time, compound into significant results. Successful people understand this and focus on steady progress rather than dramatic leaps. They know that success is a marathon, not a sprint, and they pace themselves accordingly. Discipline means forgiving yourself when you slip up. Nobody is perfect, not even the most successful individuals. What sets them apart is their ability to recover quickly. Instead of beating themselves up over a missed workout or a bad decision, they refocus and get back on track. They understand that one misstep doesn't define their journey. It's their overall commitment that matters. The reason discipline is so powerful is that it creates freedom. At first glance, this might seem contradictory. How can discipline, with its rules and restrictions, lead to freedom? The answer lies in the long-term benefits. Discipline frees you from the chaos of inconsistency, the stress of unmet goals, and the regret of wasted potential. It gives you control over your life, allowing you to achieve what truly matters. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. Successful people don't. They act first, knowing that motivation often follows action, not the other way around. This mindset is what keeps them moving forward when others stall. If you want to succeed, you must develop the habit of discipline. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the quiet, steady force that turns dreams into reality. The fourth truth that successful people rarely talk about is how much they rely on rejection and criticism to grow. At first, this might sound counterintuitive. Most people avoid rejection like the plague. Criticism stings. It's uncomfortable, and it can feel personal. But successful people understand that these experiences are not only unavoidable, but essential. They use rejection and criticism as tools for learning, improvement, and ultimately success. Rejection is often seen as a sign of failure, but it's actually proof that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Think about it. If you never face rejection, it likely means you're not pushing hard enough, not trying for the things that truly challenge you. Successful people take a different perspective on rejection. Instead of seeing it as a verdict on their worth or abilities, they view it as feedback. It's information, data they can use to refine their approach and come back stronger. Criticism works in much the same way. It's tempting to dismiss criticism or get defensive when it comes your way. But successful people embrace it. They separate the message from their ego and focus on the value it provides. Even when the delivery is harsh or unfair, they look for the kernel of truth that can help them grow. Criticism, when approached with the right mindset, becomes a mirror that reflects areas for improvement. Here's the thing about rejection and criticism. They're not inherently bad. What determines their impact is how you respond to them. Some people let rejection discourage them, using it as an excuse to give up. Others let criticism crush their confidence. Successful people do the opposite. They use rejection to fuel their persistence and criticism to sharpen their skills. Rejection builds resilience. Each no you receive toughens your skin and prepares you for the next challenge. It teaches you to separate your identity from the outcome, to keep moving forward even when things don't go your way. Resilience is a key trait of successful people, and rejection is one of the ways they develop it. Criticism, when taken constructively, accelerates growth. Think about an athlete working with a coach. The coach's job is to point out weaknesses, highlight mistakes, and suggest improvements. Without this feedback, the athlete wouldn't improve nearly as quickly. Successful people approach life the same way. They seek out constructive criticism, knowing it's one of the fastest paths to mastery. Another important part of handling rejection and criticism is understanding the source. Not all feedback is created equal. Successful people know how to discern between criticism that's constructive and criticism that's unhelpful or malicious. They focus on feedback from people who have experience, insight, or a genuine desire to help. They don't let unwarranted negativity derail their progress. Rejection and criticism teach humility. They remind you that you don't have all the answers, that there's always room to grow. This humility keeps you open to learning, adaptable to change, and willing to accept help. Successful people don't let their pride get in the way of their progress. They know that growth often requires admitting when you're wrong and being willing to start over. One of the most significant barriers to success is fear of rejection. People hold back because they're afraid of hearing no or being judged. But this fear is self-imposed, and it's a prison. Successful people understand that rejection is not the end of the road. It's a necessary step along the way. Every no brings you closer to the right yes. To make rejection and criticism work for you, start by reframing them. Instead of seeing them as failures, see them as opportunities. When someone rejects your idea, ask yourself what you can learn from their perspective. When someone critiques your work, look for ways to improve. This shift in mindset turns negative experiences into valuable lessons. It's also important to seek out feedback proactively. Don't wait for criticism to come to you. Ask for it. Find mentors, colleagues, or friends who can give you honest, constructive input. The more you normalize receiving feedback, the less intimidating it becomes. Successful people actively seek out criticism because they know it's a shortcut to improvement. Finally, remember that rejection and criticism are not personal. They're about your actions, your work, or your ideas, not about your worth as a person. This distinction is crucial. It allows you to approach these experiences objectively, without letting them damage your confidence or self-esteem. Rejection and criticism are not roadblocks. They're stepping stones. They provide the insight, resilience, and humility you need to keep growing. Successful people don't avoid these experiences. They welcome them. They know that every piece of feedback, every setback, is a step closer to achieving their goals. The fifth truth that successful people rarely reveal is how much they value solitude and introspection. While success often appears to be the result of relentless action and collaboration, much of it is actually shaped in moments of quiet reflection. Solitude isn't just a break from the noise. It's where clarity is found, strategies are crafted, and decisions are made. In a world that prizes busyness, taking time to be alone can seem counterproductive. But successful people understand that solitude is not about doing nothing. It's about creating space for deep thinking. It's in these moments of stillness that they reconnect with their goals, evaluate their progress, and plan their next steps. Solitude allows them to step back from the chaos and gain perspective, something that's impossible to do when you're constantly in motion. Introspection is another critical aspect of solitude. Successful people regularly take the time to examine their thoughts, actions, and motivations. They ask themselves tough questions. Am I moving in the right direction? Are my choices aligned with my values? What's holding me back, and what can I do about it? This level of self-awareness is what allows them to make course corrections before problems escalate. Solitude fosters creativity. When you step away from the noise, you give your mind the freedom to wander, to explore new ideas, and to connect dots that aren't immediately obvious. Many breakthroughs happen not during brainstorming sessions or group meetings, but in quiet moments when the mind is free to think without distraction. Successful people protect these moments fiercely, knowing that creativity requires space. Solitude is so powerful because it strengthens your sense of self. When you spend time alone, you're forced to rely on your own judgment and intuition. This builds confidence in your ability to make decisions and trust your instincts. Successful people don't look to others for constant validation. They've built a strong internal compass that guides them, and solitude is where that compass is calibrated. Solitude is a time for mental and emotional reset. Life is demanding, and the pressures of success can be overwhelming. Taking time to be alone provides an opportunity to recharge, to let go of stress, and to refocus on what truly matters. Successful people use solitude to maintain their mental well-being and prevent burnout. One of the most overlooked benefits of solitude is that it helps you distinguish between what's urgent and what's important. When you're constantly surrounded by demands and distractions, it's easy to get caught up in the urgency of the moment. Solitude allows you to step back and prioritize. It helps you see the bigger picture and make decisions that align with your long-term goals rather than reacting to immediate pressures. Despite its importance, solitude is often resisted. Many people avoid being alone because they fear what they might uncover. It can be uncomfortable to sit with your thoughts, especially if they reveal areas where you're falling short. But successful people don't shy away from this discomfort. They embrace it, knowing that self-honesty is the foundation of growth. Solitude isn't about isolation, it's about intentional separation. Successful people don't withdraw from others. They create pockets of time where they can focus inward. They might spend these moments journaling, meditating, or even just thinking. The method doesn't matter as much as the intention, to create a space where clarity and insight can emerge. It's worth noting that solitude doesn't have to be long or elaborate. Even a few minutes of quiet reflection each day can make a significant difference. The key is consistency. Successful people make solitude a regular part of their routine, not something they do only when they're overwhelmed. In a world that celebrates constant connectivity, solitude can feel countercultural. But it's precisely this break from the norm that makes it so powerful. Successful people understand that to lead others, you first have to lead yourself. And that leadership begins in moments of quiet reflection. Solitude is where you reconnect with your purpose, refine your vision, and build the resilience needed to navigate life's challenges. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Successful people don't just make time for solitude, they depend on it. It's their secret weapon, the quiet force that drives their success from the inside out. The unspoken truths about success are not secrets because they're hidden. They're secrets because they require effort, discipline, and a willingness to embrace what most people avoid. Success isn't about luck or shortcuts. It's about mastering the fundamentals, learning from failure, cultivating discipline, embracing rejection and criticism, and finding clarity in solitude. These principles aren't flashy, but they are powerful. They're the foundation on which extraordinary achievements are built. What separates successful people from the rest isn't just what they know. It's what they're willing to do. They're willing to put in the time to master the basics. They're willing to face failure, learn from it, and keep going. They're willing to act with discipline even when it's hard. They're willing to accept criticism and use it to grow. And they're willing to step away from the noise to find clarity in solitude. These are not easy habits to adopt, but they are the habits that make success inevitable. The beauty of these truths is that they're accessible to anyone. They don't require extraordinary talent or resources. They require commitment, effort, and the courage to think differently. If you're willing to embrace these principles, you can achieve more than you ever thought possible. But it starts with a choice to step away from the crowd, to do the hard things, and to commit to the process. Success isn't reserved for a select few. It's available to anyone who is willing to learn, grow, and take consistent action. The question is, are you ready to embrace these truths? Are you ready to let go of excuses and start building the habits that lead to greatness? The path is clear, but it's up to you to walk it. The time to start is now.